I want to start today by asking you to just mentally walk into a specific room in your brain.
Hmm.
Like we all have this room.
Hmm.
It's sort of a storage facility. The lighting is good. It's climate controlled, but it's floor to ceiling stuffed with boxes.
Mm.
And on these boxes are labels, written in Sharpie.
Oh, I know this room.
Yeah, one says the novel I'm going to write. Another says the app I'm going to code. There's the dusty one in the corner that says, like, the community garden I'm starting next spring.
Yes, the graveyard of good intentions. Or maybe the museum of someday.
Exactly. And the thing is, usually we feel pretty good about this room. We go in there, we look at the boxes, and we feel, I don't know, rich. We feel like these are assets.
Yeah.
But today, we're doing a deep dive into a text that suggests these boxes aren't assets at all.
No,
They are liabilities. They're debts you haven't paid.
it is a harsh take, I won't lie. We're covering a piece titled From Dream to Reality, a practical story of creation. And if you're tuning in hoping for, like, a warm, fuzzy pep talk about how you just need to believe in your vision,
Yeah. This isn't it.
you might want to brace yourself.
Yeah, this is not a motivational poster. It reads more like an instruction manual for a piece of, I don't know, heavy machinery.
That's a great way to put it. It treats creativity not as some magical, mystical art form that, strikes like lightning, but as a structural engineering problem.
Hmm.
It argues that the reason we fail to launch isn't a lack of talent or passion, it's a mechanical failure.
So our mission today is to figure out exactly what is breaking in that machine. We're going to dissect the difference between a dream and a goal. And spoiler alert, they are not synonyms.
Not even close.
And we're going to walk through the source's specific framework, they call it the loop, for actually finishing what you start.
And just to set the temperature for this conversation, which, yeah, it might get a little chilly, I want to start with the quote that anchors this entire philosophy. The author writes, "Reality is the only thing that makes a dream useful."
Okay, can I play devil's advocate right off the bat? That just sounds miserable.
Yeah.
Reality is the only thing that makes a dream useful. I mean, isn't the point of a dream that it's an escape from reality?
Yeah.
That it's this beautiful, perfect thing in my head?
Yeah.
Why do we have to drag reality into it?
I think that's exactly the friction the author is pointing at. We tend to treat our dreams like these fragile, precious birds.
Mm-hmm.
We want to keep them in a cage, our heads, where they're safe. Because in your head, the dream is perfect, the novel is a bestseller, the app has 1 million users.
Right.
The moment you introduce reality, you introduce flaws. You introduce the possibility that the app crashes or, the book has a plot hole.
So we protect the dream by keeping it unreal.
Exactly. But the author's argument is, what is the utility of a dream that stays in your head?
Right.
It does nothing for you, and it certainly does nothing for the world. So yes, reality is harsh, but it's the only place where value actually exists.
Okay, so let's get into the definitions then. Because I think most of us use dream and goal interchangeably. I might say, it's my dream to run a marathon, or my goal is to run a marathon. I pretty much mean the same thing.
Yeah, we all do.
But this source draws a very expensive line between them.
Expensive is the right word. It comes down to cost and ownership. According to the text, a dream is a private experience.
Okay.
It lives entirely inside your neurology. And crucially, dreaming costs you nothing. You can sit in your armchair, close your eyes, and imagine you've built a Fortune 500 company. It requires, zero caloric energy, zero financial risk, and zero social embarrassment.
It's a free trial.
It's better than a pretrial. It's a fantasy, but a goal. A goal is what the author calls a commitment to reality. And reality has constraints. Reality has time. Reality has friction. Reality has Tuesday afternoons where you're tired, the kids are screaming, and the Wi-Fi is down.
There's a phrase the author uses that I found really interesting. They say that if a dream hasn't been translated into something achievable, it is unfinished thinking.
Unfinished thinking. That one stings a little, doesn't it?
It does, because dreaming sounds so active. Like, I'm dreaming big. Yeah. But unfinished thinking sounds like I just stopped doing my homework.
That's the shift. It reframes the whole dreaming phase from something romantic to something incomplete. You haven't finished the design work. You haven't built the bridge. You've just imagined being on the other side of the river.
So how do we know if we're stuck in unfinished thinking? Because I can say I have a goal, but maybe I'm still just dreaming. The source gives us a specific litmus test for this.
They do. It's the minutes and hours rule.
Walk us through this.
It's deceptively simple. The rule is, if you cannot break your idea down into actions that fit into minutes and hours, it is not a goal, it is just a vision.
Okay, give me an example.
Okay. I want to be a writer. Is that a goal?
Theoretically.
The source would say no. That is a dream. That is a state of being. You cannot look at a clock and find "be a writer" on it.
Okay, so what's the goal version then?
I will write 500 words between 6:00 a.m. and 7 a.m. tomorrow. That fits into minutes and hours. It occupies specific space on the timeline.
I see.
The goal has to be something you can reasonably expect to complete through known effort within a specific time.
It seems like you're between a noun and a verb. Writer is a noun, writing is a verb that makes sense.
Precisely. And this leads to a trap the text identifies, which I think is fascinating psychologically. It's the trap of dreaming properly.
Oh, this part hit home for me. I am definitely guilty of this.
I think most of us are. The text argues that when we dream, we almost always dream about the identity, not the process.
The outcome.
Exactly, the outcome. We imagine standing on the TED Talk stage. We imagine signing the books. We imagine the launch party.
We imagine the montage at the end of the movie.
Right. We skip the second act. We skip the struggle. And the problem, according to the source, isn't just that this is unrealistic. The problem is chemical. When you vividly imagine the success, your brain gives you a hit of dopamine. You feel good. You feel accomplished just by thinking about it.
So, in a way, you've already stolen the reward.
Exactly. It's borrowed glory.
Yeah.
You're enjoying the emotional reward of the achievement without having done the behavior. And because you've already got the good feeling, you have no drive to do the actual work, which is usually, boring, difficult, or scary.
So, we are visualizing the champagne, but we should be visualizing the spreadsheet.
We shouldn't even be visualizing. We should be doing. The text says imagining the result produces no momentum. And momentum is critical because of the psychology of weight.
Let's talk about that. Progress has weight. What does that mean in this context?
It means that tangible action, no matter how small, anchors you. When you take a step, even if it's just buying the domain name or writing one paragraph, it feels real.
Yeah.
It has mass in the real world. That builds confidence.
But the flip side is what scares me. The text describes what happens when a dream sits in that storage room we talked about for too long without action.
It curdles.
That is such a visceral word. Curdles.
It's accurate, though. When progress is zero, the dream doesn't just stay neutral. It turns into pressure. It turns into guilt.
I think everyone listening knows this feeling. You have that one project you told everyone you were going to do, and now 6 months later, you haven't touched it.
Mm-hmm.
And when someone brings it up, you don't feel excited anymore. You feel
shame.
You feel avoidance. And eventually, you stop thinking about the project entirely just to protect your ego.
Wow.
You ghost your own dream because looking at it makes you feel like a failure. The source says this damages self-trust. If you keep promising yourself you'll do something and then don't, you start believing your own authority.
That's heavy. If you can't trust your own word, you're in trouble. So what's the fix? Because usually when people get stuck in this guilt loop, the advice is get motivated, get pumped up, watch a Rocky montage.
And the source says absolutely not. Motivation is a trap.
Wait, motivation is a trap. How?
Because motivation is a feeling, it's weather, it comes and goes.
Right. You cannot build a structure on a foundation that changes with the wind. The correction, according to the text, is not motivation, it is translation.
Translation.
It means taking that big, scary, curdled dream and translating it into those achievable units we talked about. You have to translate the vision into minutes and hours. Because here's the mechanism the source proposes. You don't think your way into confidence. You act your way there.
So you translate a tiny piece of the dream into a task. You do the task, that generates evidence.
Evidence. That is the key word. You need evidence that you are someone who acts.
Okay.
That evidence restores your confidence. And once confidence is back, you can be consistent. It's a loop. Completion creates confidence. Confidence enables consistency.
Okay, I want to challenge you on something here. Because sometimes the reason I'm not acting isn't because I'm lazy or dreaming. It's because I don't know how to do it yet. I need to learn. I need to research. And there is a section in this text that seems to attack that impulse.
I think I know the quote you're about to bring up.
Learning without application is avoidance disguised as growth.
I highlighted that in 3 different colors.
I mean, ouch. But isn't that a bit unfair? If I want to build an app, I have to learn to code. If I want to write a historical novel, I have to research the era.
Right.
Is the author saying we shouldn't learn?
No, but the author is distinguishing between just-in-time learning and just-in-case learning.
Break that down.
Just-in-case learning is what we do when we're afraid to start. We buy 3 books on business strategy. We listen to 50 hours of podcasts about writing. We take a course on marketing before we have a product.
Right, it feels productive.
It feels like work, it feels responsible, but really it's a way to delay the scary part, which is actually doing the thing.
It's safe. As long as I'm a student, I can't fail.
Exactly. Just in time, learning is different. That's when you start building the app, you get stuck on a specific error, and you go learn how to fix that specific error. Then you immediately apply it. The text argues that unless the learning increases the probability of finishing the project today, it is likely a form of procrastination.
Avoidance disguised as growth. That is going to stick with me next time I buy a nonfiction book I don't intend to read immediately.
It's a call to action. Stop preparing to be ready. You are never going to be ready.
Okay, let's pivot a bit. We've talked about the mechanics of doing the work, but what about the idea itself? Because a lot of people get stuck before they even start because they think, I don't have $1 million idea. I'm not a genius.
The genius myth. The source takes a very strong stance here. It says, creation rarely starts with invention. It starts with noticing.
Observation over invention.
Right. We put so much pressure on ourselves to be original, to come up with something nobody has ever seen. The source says, relax. You don't need to invent. You need to improve. And they use a cooking analogy that I thought was brilliant.
Yes, the common dish.
The author asks you to imagine a common dish, like a burger or a lasagna. You don't invent the concept of food. You don't invent the ingredients. You observe a dish that already exists.
Right here.
Maybe you eat a burger at a restaurant and you think this is too messy, or the bun is too soggy, or this takes too long to get to the table.
You notice friction.
You notice a gap between what is and what could be. You study the existing process until you understand it well enough to reproduce it. And then, and this is the key, you improve one precise element. Maybe you change the way the bun is toasted. Maybe you change the ordering system.
And the text says, once you understand the process enough to modify it, that's when ownership begins.
Right.
You don't have to invent the concept of the hamburger to create the best burger in town. You just have to improve the method.
And that improvement is where the value lies. This is a huge relief for anyone feeling paralyzed by the need to be the next Steve Jobs.
For sure.
You don't need to be a visionary. You need to be an observer. You look for things that are broken, slow, or frustrating, and you fix them.
However, there is a danger in fixing things. And the text warns about this. You start fixing one thing, and suddenly you're trying to fix everything.
Ah, yes. The scope creep warning.
They use a car analogy here.
Yeah.
If you discover a better way to steer, do not accidentally build a car.
It's such a funny, accurate image. You start out with a great idea for a steering wheel. Maybe it has better grip or better controls. That's your innovation. But then you think, well, I can't just sell a wheel. I need an axle. And if I have an axle, I need a chassis. And I really don't like how normal engines work, so I'll redesign that too.
And 6 months later, you have a pile of parts in your garage and nothing works.
You've lost your leverage point.
Yeah.
The source argues you must know exactly what you are improving. Are you fixing the result or the process? Stay focused on the edge of your innovation.
Clarity of edge. That's the term they use.
Right. Do not start unless there is a clear reason to believe you can finish. This isn't about guaranteeing success. It's about defining the boundaries. If your project doesn't have edges, it will bleed out into forever.
Okay, so let's say we've done all this. We noticed a problem. We translated it in minutes and hours. We did the work. We avoided scope creep. Now comes the part that I think makes people sweat the most.
Sharing.
Putting it out there.
Yeah.
Selling. Promoting.
The dreaded self-promotion.
We usually associate this with being pushy, with shouting. But the source has a really refreshing take on this.
It connects back to the theme of translation. The author states that promotion is not about persuasion. It's not about shouting at people until they buy.
Right.
It is simply about translating your work for the people who need it.
There's a quote here. If you cannot explain your improvement in simple terms, the problem is not the audience. The problem is that you do not yet understand your own work clearly enough.
That puts the responsibility right back on the creator. It strips away the excuse of, oh, the market just doesn't get my genius.
Right.
No, you just haven't clarified your value. And this links directly to how the source defines a niche.
This was interesting because niche is such a buzzword. I usually think of it as like a small group of weirdos who like my thing.
Right. But the text defines niche as measurement. They use the tailor analogy. A niche isn't a small club, it's a set of measurements. Like a tailor measuring a client before cutting the fabric. You need to know who the product is for, what they struggle with, and how they currently try to solve the problem.
So it's about fit.
Exactly. If the fit is right, the measurement is accurate, promotion becomes, as the text says, almost boring.
Boring. That's not a word you usually hear in marketing sentences.
Boring in the best possible way. It means the high drama is gone. You aren't trying to convince a vegetarian to eat a steak.
Right.
You are just placing a solution in front of people who are already looking for it. You're saying, here is the thing that fixes the problem you have.
So if you feel like you have to constantly pressure people to buy your thing or read your blog, something upstream is broken.
Yes. You either didn't measure correctly or you built a solution for a problem that doesn't exist. If the product genuinely improves someone's situation, if it reduces friction, acceptance should be natural.
Right.
The only barrier should be resources like, can they afford it? Not whether they want it.
I want to touch on one last practical element before we wrap up. Support. Because usually when we have a big dream, the first thing we want to do is get a partner. Let's do this together.
Yeah, it's lonely working alone.
But the text warns against this too.
It says recruitment follows clarity. You don't recruit people, you recruit functions.
That sounds a bit dehumanizing. Recruit functions.
It sounds cold, but it's actually protective of the relationship. Until you know exactly what work needs to be done, what skills are missing, what roles are empty, asking for help just creates confusion. If you bring a friend on board just for moral support, you're inviting them into a mess. Once the work is clear, support appears naturally because people like to join things that are moving. They like to join things that have structure.
Alignment matters more than agreement.
That's a good line. Okay, so we've covered a lot. We've covered the mindset, the mechanics, the focus, the sharing. The source wraps this all up into a framework they call the loop. It's a 7-step process. Let's run through it quickly to solidify it for the listener.
Sure. Step 1, notice a real problem. Remember, observation, not invention.
Okay.
Step 2, understand it deeply. Don't guess. Study the ingredients.
Got it.
Step 3, improve one precise element. Remember the steering wheel. Don't build the car.
Right.
Step 4, break the work into achievable steps. Minutes and hours. Step 5, finish something small. Get that evidence.
Yeah, crucial evidence.
Step 6, share it clearly. Translation, not shouting. And step 7, repeat.
It sounds so simple when you list it out like that. But simple is not the same as easy.
No. And the text acknowledges that. It says, there are no shortcuts around this loop. You can't skip the understanding phase and go straight to sharing. You can't skip the breaking it down phase and expect to finish. You know, what strikes me about this entire deep dive is that it kind of takes the ego out of the equation. We usually make our dreams about us. My passion, my success, my identity. But this framework is entirely about the work.
Yeah.
Is the work structured? Is the improvement real? Is the explanation clear?
It's incredibly grounding. The summary of the text really brings this home. It says that dreams become real when they are respected enough to be structured.
I love that phrasing. Respecting your dream enough to give it a schedule.
Exactly. We think strict schedules and small goals kill the magic. We think artists should be chaotic and spontaneous. But the author argues that structure is the highest form of respect you can pay to your idea. If you love the idea, you owe it the reality of a plan.
And goals succeed when they're designed to be finished. Not designed to be perfect, but designed to be finished.
And finally, value emerges when improvements reduce friction for others. That's the shared progress part.
So if you're listening to this and you're feeling a little called out, because I certainly am, what is the takeaway here? It seems like we need to stop romanticizing the idea guy persona.
We do. We need to fall in love with the mechanic persona, the person who looks at the engine, sees what's broken, and tightens the bolt.
Yeah.
The text ends with this sentiment. This is not romantic, it is practical. We keep looking for a magic spell to turn our dreams into reality, but the only spell is practicality.
Practicality is what turns private ambition into shared progress. That is a mic drop moment.
It really is. It shifts the focus from, look at me dreaming, to look at what I built for you.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave everyone with a challenge. Think about that storage room in your brain. Think about that unfinished thinking you have lying around. The novel, the app, the garden.
Don't try to finish it today.
No, just ask yourself, does it fit into minutes and hours? Have I translated it?
And if you haven't, stop researching. Stop learning about gardening or coding. Go define the very first step that takes 20 minutes and put it on your calendar for tomorrow morning.
Because reality is the only thing that makes a dream useful.
Before we go, though, I want to leave the listener with one final thought. Something that the text implies but doesn't explicitly shout, yet I think it's the most provocative part of this whole
Really?
philosophy.
What's that?
We often assume that if we don't pursue our dreams, the only victim is us. We think, oh, it's just my private loss. I'm just letting myself down.
Right.
But if you follow the logic of this text, that value comes from reducing friction for others and sharing improvements, then keeping your dream unfinished isn't just a personal failure. It's actually a form of selfishness.
Oof. Selfishness. That's harsh.
Think about it. If your idea could actually help someone, if your better steering wheel could make driving easier for 1,000 people, or your story could comfort someone who is grieving, and you don't build it because you're too busy enjoying the fantasy of it in your head, you are withholding value from the world. You are choosing your own comfort over a solution that someone else might need.
Wow. That actually adds a whole new layer of responsibility. It's not just about me anymore.
It never was. Your unfinished work is costing someone else a solution.
Well, on that note, I think I have some work to go schedule. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. Now go break something down into minutes and hours. We'll see you next time.